Imagine you're standing in the deadest place on Earth, the Sahara. Nothing but sand to the horizon. No water. No life. Now look at the wall of this cave. Someone painted tiny figures here. Their arms and legs are bent. They're swimming. People drew swimmers in the middle of the driest desert on the planet. They weren't crazy. They saw something. And it should be impossible. This is the story of the day the Sahara was green. The day it dried up in barely more than a human lifetime. And the people who vanished with it. Here's the strange part. Those painters left us something no scientist could. An eyewitness account. Because all across the Sahara, on cave walls and cliffs, of vanished people painted what they saw. And what they painted changes, slowly, across thousands of years. It's like a flipbook. A painted diary of a desert drying out, frame by frame. So here's my promise. By the end of this, you'll be able to read that diary yourself. You'll know how a paradise became the Sahara, and the twist nobody expects about where its people went. So let's read the first frame. Rewind 10,000 years. The Sahara you know does not exist yet. Instead, picture grassland rolling to the horizon, rivers, and lakes you could lose a city in. This is the Green Sahara, and it was real. How real? In Niger, archaeologists dug up fish hooks and bone harpoons, and fish bones, including Nile perch, a fish that grows nearly 2 meters long, in ground that is now bone-dried desert. That's the payoff to our swimmers. The region around here really had lakes. There really was that much water. Hippos wallowed. Crocodiles. Elephants. Giraffes, so present that someone carved 2 of them into the rock. The bigger one over 5 meters tall, life-size. This wasn't a metaphor. It was a paradise. And people lived right in the middle of it. Now turn the page. The diary changes. The wild animals start sharing the wall with something new. Cattle. Herds of them. Long-horned. Drawn in flowing, living detail. This is the golden age of the Green Sahara. People stopped just hunting and started herding. And on a plateau in Algeria called Tassili-Niger, they left behind one of the richest art galleries on Earth. Around 15,000 paintings and engravings, layered over thousands of years. The very largest human figures tower up to 6 meters tall, floating on the rock like giants. And right at the peak of the green, there was so much water that one lake in the middle of the Sahara swelled to about the size of the Caspian Sea. Likely the biggest lake on the entire planet at the time. Stop and feel that. One of the largest lakes on Earth, sitting in what is now the largest hot desert on Earth. The painters watched it, and they painted it while it lasted. While it lasted, because the diary was about to turn dark. Here's the thing about a diary. If you read carefully, you can see the bad news coming before the writer does. Keep turning the pages, and the cattle slowly thin out. The lush scenes get rarer, and new animals appear. Horses, pulling chariots. Then, later, camels. Now ask yourself one question. Why would the pictures change like that? Because each of those animals needs less water than the one before. Cattle need rich grass and standing water. Horses can take harder, drier ground. And the camel? The camel is the animal of true desert. So the menagerie on the wall isn't just art. It's a water gauge, a slow-motion record of a world drying out. If clues hiding in plain sight for thousands of years is your kind of thing, subscribe. We do one every week. Because the next question is the big one. What was actually killing the green? Here's the answer, and it's wilder than you'd think. The Sahara wasn't killed by anything in the Sahara. It was killed by the way the Earth moves through space. Stay with me, because this is simple. The Earth wobbles like a spinning top. One slow wobble roughly every 20,000 years. And 10,000 years ago, that wobble lined things up so the Earth was closest to the sun during northern summers. More summer sun meant a stronger monsoon. The rain belt marched north, deep into what is now desert, and it rained. That's it. That's why the Sahara was green. Not magic, just sunlight and timing. But here's the cruel part. That same wobble kept turning. Slowly the summers cooled. The monsoon began to slide back south. And now watch the desert kill itself. Fewer plants meant paler ground that bounced sunlight away. That meant less rain, which killed more plants. A loop, feeding on itself. A gentle nudge from space, tipped into a crash. Okay, nice theory, but where's the proof? You can't paint the wind. So scientists went somewhere the painters never could. The bottom of the sea. Off the coast of West Africa, dust blows off the Sahara and settles on the ocean floor, layer after layer, year after year, a calendar made of mud. Drill a cord down through it, and you can count the desert's breathing. Wet years leave little dust. Dry years leave a lot. And in one famous core, the dust climbed sharply, roughly a 50% jump, about 5,500 years ago. That's one strong line of evidence for the desert slamming shut, written in the seabed. And it lines up with the diary on the wall. Two very different witnesses, ocean mud and cave paint, pointing the same way. Now let me be honest with you, because that's the deal on this channel. I told you the Sahara dried up in barely more than a human lifetime. That makes a great hook. It's also not quite true. Here's the real picture. The push from Earth's wobble was slow, thousands of years slow. The collapse, when it came, was fast for nature. But fast here means decades to centuries, not a single afternoon. In some places it tipped quickly. In others, like one quiet lake in eastern Chad, the drying was gentle and gradual, stretched over thousands of years. Scientists still argue about exactly how sudden it was. So no, not one lifetime, everywhere. But here's why the hook still holds. For the families living through the fastest drying regions, the change was visible within a few generations. A grandparent remembered the lake. A grandchild walked across its dry bed. That's slow enough to be science, and fast enough to break your heart. Which leaves the question you've been waiting for. The people. What happened to them? Here's the twist. They didn't vanish. They walked. As the water shrank, the herders followed it, and the water led, more and more, to one place that never ran dry. The Nile. Picture whole communities, with their cattle, drifting toward the great river. And now it gets remarkable. In the Egyptian desert, at a place called Nabta Playa, those herders left something stunning. A small ring of standing stones, with at least one sight line pointing to the sunrise of the longest day of the year. Many researchers read it as an early attempt to track the sky and the seasons. A stone circle older than the great stones of Stonehenge. Now hold that image. Sacred cattle. The sun tracked in stone. Does that remind you of anyone? Because a leading idea, not proven, but powerful, is that these desert herders carried their world to the Nile and helped spark one of the greatest civilizations in history. Ancient Egypt. Some scholars even point to the cow goddess and the king as a mighty bull. Maybe the Green Sahara didn't die. Maybe it just changed its address. So here's where we land. A vanished people painted their green world onto stone. Swimmers, cattle, horses, camels. And without meaning to, they recorded their own paradise turning to sand, frame by frame, for us to find 10,000 years later. They were the witnesses on the wall, and they're still talking. Their descendants may still be herding cattle across Africa today, millions of them. The herders never stopped herding. So if a dead desert that turns out to be full of life is your kind of story, you're exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. Subscribe, because here's the real question to sit with. The Green Sahara will come back. The earth keeps wobbling, it always does. In maybe 10,000 years, the lakes return, the grass returns. The only thing missing will be us. So who will paint the next Green Sahara? And there's a city that vanished under the waves in a single night. It's waiting on the next card. Tap it. I'll see you there.